a blog for radio people, and it's not just for LA. People all over the country read it, free as a matter of fact. That's the problem with it. And they should be charged. It's probably the best website for news. There's like Talkers Magazine, and there's others. All Access is good. Al Peterson's is great. But Don Barrett hung him up this week, and he is now vacationing somewhere in Costa Rica. I just made that part up. Don Barrett, welcome to the show. We're loving you to be on the air with us.
I had to leave the Santa Barbara Beach early to take this call.
Thank you very much, Don. Thank
you. Hi, guys.
Hey. These guys in the studio here, they're a little off cue here for you. Everybody's a little sad, but let's talk about you, Don Barrett, because I just want the world and myself to learn about you because, you've done, everybody knows you the last 20 years writing for LA Radio, and we can get to that and all the wonderful stuff. Please come back. Oh, Don, we're so sorry you're gone. I mean, it's over, but let's talk about this storied life of yours, because what was your first job? As a kid, I know, I've heard, I've read, you listened to radio in LA, but what was the magic moment when it sparked in your brain that you wanted to be on the radio?
I guess growing up on the beach in Santa Monica as a kid, I didn't have any brothers or sisters, and so the voices on the radio really became that for me. And as I evolved, Santa Monica High School had a relationship with KCRW, and they allowed Santa Monica High School students to have a show every Friday. They donated a couple of hours. So I did a 15-minute show every Friday for a semester, and I was hooked.
And what did you do? What was that show? Did you play the hits? Were you doing talk radio, political talk on the right? What were you doing?
I did it all.
Really?
It was one of those things that I told stories about what was going on at the high school, which is really the premise for the time. But then you'd play the hits, and it was at a time when the transition from the pop standards of Patti Page and Gogi Grant was making a move to Little Richard and some of the great R&B and rock and roll artists at that time. So we got to play a combination of both.
Were you, and so you listened, you did this show, what year was this?
Would have been 1957.
So there were some tape recorders out there, the Wallen-Sachs and all that. Do you have any tapes of that?
No.
Yeah, I know.
No.
I have the tape of my first appearance on KEDC radio at Cal State Northridge, and I was so nervous and my throat was so dry. I heard this big, and then I went on and started to talk, and I came home and my brother said, I recorded you. I heard you swallow. This is my first experience. So, all right, so as a kid listening to the radio, did your parents always have the radio on? Is that how you were? I mean, we don't listen to the radio like we used to.
We don't. They did not listen to the radio. It was really a singular thing for me, and I just fell in love with it. You start listening to some of the old shows that they used to have, and then all of that moved to television, and we were stuck with radio. And I just became fascinated with being a disc jockey or an announcer or something of that sort. And so that's what my goal was from really as early as I can remember. I'd be like the kid who was into baseball and somehow got into the World Series. They'd be sitting by the fence and, peeking through the nose and the eyes and just having a great time. And that's what radio was for me.
So you did it in high school, and then that kind of lights another fire in you. And then when you get through with that high school thing, you think, I got to get on a radio station? Do you start trying to get on radio right away? What's the next step?
Well, the next step for me was to get a college education. I had a tutor that came into my life about this time, and he encouraged me to get a college education because at some stage I'd wear out being a rock and roll disc jockey and wanted to get into management, which is the way it happened.
Who was the tutor?
His name was Earl McDaniel. He was the Ryan Seacrest, Rick Dees of L.A. morning radio back in the 50s.
Well, we're missing some stuff here because you're on the radio in high school. How do you get to meet a guy like Earl McDaniel, who was probably as you mentioned, the Ryan Seacrest of his day, doing the show? Were you hanging out at stations? How did you get to hang out at stations? How did you get in the door?
Well, the problem was it's not like you're living in a small town where you had easy access. I mean, here you are in the number one radio market in the country, as far as I'm concerned.
L.A., yeah.
And he was the MC at the Palladium in Hollywood first show with, I don't know who was there, Fabian and Bobby Rydell, and I went with one of my girlfriends from high school, and he was sitting up on one of the ledges having a meal or a drink between shows, and I went up to him, and I just said, I'm your biggest fan in the world. And he said, well, come on up here. And he invited me up, and then he said, have you ever been in a radio station? I said, I hadn't. And he says, come on down. So the next morning I'm sitting on the steps of 1010 Los Angeles waiting for him to come to work, and he made me a gopher and still encouraged me to go on to college. But I used to file all of his records and do things. We made a couple of records when I was in high school. We got into the top 20 at the Wallace Music City at one stage. And, you know, it was so exhilarating, and radio was so exhilarating. And Earl had a way to say, radio is so magical, do not abuse it. And he showed me between records, he said, I'm going to say something, and these 10 phone lines are going to light up within seconds. And I said, well, how does that work? And he said something, and within seconds, the 10 lines are lighted. He says, you be sure that you take responsibility when you're on the radio. You have an absolute responsibility to do that. And I always respected radio from that point on.
Now we got the magic moment. That is it, with Earl McDaniel inviting you to the station. The great Don Barrett is with us. Straight ahead, we have more on CRN. Don't go wandering off. Great story. Come to Angelo's and Vinci's Restaurante in Fullerton, California for our sizzling party savings. Book your wedding event or reception, your birthday bash, or a special event of any kind and celebrate at Angelo's and Vinci's. Come to Angelo's and Vinci's and celebrate in one of our many festive banquet rooms. It's an incredible fun event you'll never forget. Food, music, and lots of fun. Call for the details, and don't forget our daily lunch and dinners, plus our Sunday champagne brunch. Just $14.95. Minestrone soup, sausage and peppers, pastas, chicken dishes, salads, scones, and muffins. Plus so much more, a chocolate fondue fountain, Zeppelis, cannolis, fresh fruit, champagne, and Junior will be waiting to make the omelet of your choice from our omelet bar. Angelo's and Vinci's has been voted on the Orange County Hot List as one of the top 5 Italian restaurants for the past 6 years. And don't forget our award-winning pizzas. Thin or thick, they're yummy. It's all at Angelo's and Vinci's Restaurante at 550 North Harbor Boulevard in Fullerton, California. Call 714-879-4022, 714-879-4022.
Have you ever considered adding a home security system but thought it would be too expensive? Here's the good news. There's never been a more affordable time to help protect your home, valuables, and your loved ones. You can now get a $100 Visa card from Protect Your Home, your authorized ADT dealer, with the installation of a new ADT monitored system. Here's even better news. Your new system, worth $850, is free. You pay just a $99 installation charge and purchase monthly monitoring for less than $2 a day. Call Protect Your Home today at 1-866-669-8954. That's 1-866-669-8954. Get the peace of mind that comes with owning an ADT monitored system, plus a $100 Visa card from Protect Your Home. Call now, 1-866-669-8954. That's 1-866-669-8954. 36-month monitoring contract required. General terms and conditions apply. Visit protectyourhome.com/terms.
I am a non-attorney spokesperson. Attention men who've taken Androgel or any other testosterone therapy products. Androgel or other low-T products have been linked to heart attack, stroke, pulmonary embolism, deep vein thrombosis, even death. Scientific studies indicate that the use of testosterone therapy products may double a man's risk of heart attack. If you or a loved one took Androgel or a testosterone therapy product and suffered from a heart attack, stroke, pulmonary embolism, deep vein thrombosis, or any other cardiac event, you might be entitled to financial compensation. You have rights, and you need to let us fight for your rights. And you pay no fees unless we win. So call the tort attorneys right now. 800-557-7921. 800-557-7921. That's 800-557-7921. Cases may be referred to participating law firms in your jurisdiction.
PM Show, Weekend Edition on CRN Digital Talk Radio. I'm Michael Horn, along with the cast of the Weekend Edition here on the PM Show, Scott St. James.
Hi.
Got a way to sound off, Scott.
That's very good, Paul Stern jumping in there. And the legendary Don Barrett on the line with us here today. Don, of course, most recently in the last 20-plus years, the publisher of LARadio.com. Hung him up this last week. We're kind of talking about Don Barrett's life story. He's in the 50s in Santa Monica, California. Listening to radio was his companion, Top 40 radio in particular. Does a show at high school. They had a chance to be on the radio. And when you did it on the high school, where was the show aired, Don, when you did that show?
It was on KCRW.
KCRW, okay. That's at the Santa Monica College Station. So Don was able to do a show that actually got broadcast out on the air. And then you go to this concert there at the, wherever the heck, where the Palladium. Yeah, the Palladium. And you meet Earl McDaniel. And you're how old? Still high school, 15, 16, somewhere in there?
Yeah, I just turned 16, so I could drive.
So he invites you to the station. There's one problem here. You said 1010. Was there actually a 1010 radio at that time?
KPOP.
Oh, so it moved up then to 1050 or something, right? Or 1070 or whatever?
Or 1020 maybe.
1020, there you go. That's what I'm looking
Yeah.
for. Is now was the Super Q and all. So 1020 KPOP, you go there and you're hanging out and you're doing stuff. You start talking to people about this, like, hey, I hang out at the radio all the time, and you start becoming like, everybody's like in awe. Like Wink Martindale told us he started in Memphis and he was bringing his chums to go through the studio. Did you do that, or was this kind of like a thing you just did that was all you?
It was all me. Downtown Los Angeles was not close to Santa Monica, so it wasn't a thing that you could just drop in after school. You really had to make a plan to go down there. It was on Western Avenue. And, it was very singular and very exhilarating. Hunter Hancock was on at middays, and afternoon drive was Art LeBeau.
Wow.
So that's when I first met Art.
Thank you, Don.
Talk about a legend. Oh,
How
my
old
God.
was he then?
How old was Art then?
Yeah.
Just in his 50s.
Yeah. He just started getting Social Security.
Thank you, Don Barrett. So these are legendary radio voices in L.A. So from there, what does it take for you now to land a job at a radio station? You hang out there for how many years? A couple of years or whatever, and then what?
Well, I
went to college.
And then when I got out of college, Earl McDaniel was program director of KEWB in San Francisco. So I naively thought that he would give me the all-night shift or the weekend shift and so forth. And he says, well, I'm going to tell you what to do next. He said, I want you to pack up your car and head north, head south. You decide which way you want to go, and every time you see a radio antenna, go knock on the door and say, do you want a rock and roll disc jockey?
Whoa.
And I left at 9 a.m. on March 10th, 1965. And I went to Oxnard, and they were looking for somebody with some experience. I stopped in Santa Barbara, KIST. They wanted experience. And as I went up the road, Lompoc, which all I remember from was a W.C. Fields movie, The Bank Dick, they were in Lompoc. They may have even called it Lompoc in that movie. Anyway,
yes.
I went in. It was 1:15 in the afternoon, and the general manager owner came to the door, and I said, I'm looking, for a job. And he says, when can you start? And I said, right now. And at 3 o'clock, I was on the air with Stop in the Name of Love.
You played Stop in the Name of Love was the first song?
First song.
This is great. So this was on the 10th, 1965, the first day Don Barrett makes it on the air, and you're in Lompoc. What were the call letters there?
KNEZ.
Is it still on?
No, they're all gone.
KNEZ, what dial position was that?
980. 960.
960. Yeah, it's got to still be on somewhere. Just probably move to a conglomerate in Santa Maria.
Yeah.
And what in Lompoc there, or Lompoc, did you, was there like beach reports or something? What was the big deal there? Agriculture?
I did agriculture. I did the the flower report every morning. They had
what's the flower report?
Well, 85% of all flower seeds came from Lompoc at that time.
Oh, that's right. You could order from there. That's right. You still can to this day, I think. Yeah.
It's just gorgeous. I mean, just as you went out outside of Lompoc, they'd just be rows of purple flowers, and then the next row would be yellows and oranges, and so vibrant. And it was really terrific. So That was. I didn't have farm reports, but I had flower report every morning. How they were blooming and blossoming, and how they were going.
Do you have a favorite flower to this day, Don Barrett? Do you like
yellow ones?
Yellow. Obviously, I would have said zinnia or something. Come on, Snapdragon. The great Don Barrett is with us from LA Radio, and we're kind of getting his story. We'll get into it a little more intense here now because there's a Gordon McClendon chapter and all this kind of stuff, and we'll tell you who Gordon McClendon is if you don't know. One of the pioneers in radio, thus making Don Barrett one of the original pioneers as well. Stay with us straight ahead. It is the PM Show Weekend Edition. Michael Horn, Scott St. James, Paul Stern, and the legendary Don Barrett right here on CRN.
When it comes to blood pressure, for years the safe zone upper limit was 120/80. But now, according to the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, slightly higher numbers may be okay. I'm Aileen Ellis. The experts say most people over 60 are fine if their BP is lower than 150/90. If you have kidney disease or diabetes, that top number should now be 140. Why are these findings important? Because now some people may not need to take blood pressure medication. So if your BP is in this okay range, talk to your doctor. And if your BP is still too high, try lifestyle changes. You might be able to get it down with weight loss, exercise, a low-salt diet, and drinking less booze. For more on blood pressure, just Google the words NIH and blood pressure. Remember, good blood pressure substantially cuts your risk of a heart attack and a stroke. That's Primetime Focus, brought to you by AARP.
Hi, folks. This is Larry Minetti. And many of you out there suffer from skin problems. Well, I've been telling you for months how to solve that problem. It's called Herpanicin. It's the most unique and effective formula on the market. It cleans your skin from the inside out. It gets rid of all kinds of acne on your back, your neck, your face, so you can feel and you could look like a movie star. Herpanicin is a natural supplement. It was created by Dr. Wayne Diamond and his staff, and trust me, this really works. I've been on these supplements for over a year now and never had a problem. There is no reason in the world to wake up and be afraid to look in the mirror. You trust Larry. Just try it. Call 888-467-4200. 888-467-4200.
Are you worried about losing your home to foreclosure? If you've been threatened with foreclosure or received legal papers from your bank, you have approximately 30 days to respond. If you do not respond, you could lose your home. You have rights. Act now to protect your rights. You can stay in your home. Many times you can even modify your loan. The bottom line is you can get past this, but you must act right now. If you've been served by your bank and you're worried about losing your home to foreclosure, now is the time to fight back and save your home. Time is limited, so call the professionals at National Foreclosure Defense right now.
800-515-6309. 800-515-6309. 800-515-6309. 800-515-6309. That number again is 800-515-6309.
Need a tractor for tough jobs? Do more for less with a Kubota L-Series compact tractor. Forged from our proven design and highest quality materials, Kubota has been committed to building the industry's best compact tractors for decades. Get financing as low as 0% APR for up to 5 years during our More Power to You sales event. That's value. That's Kubota. Financing available through Kubota Credit Corporation USA. Call toll-free 1-888-465-8268 for details about costs and terms. For more information or to find a participating dealer, visit Kubota.com.
The British are coming. The British are coming again. This time live on stage to the showroom at South Point. It's Peter Noon and Herman Servants.
Mrs. Brown, you've got a lovely daughter.
July 17th to the 19th. Tickets at the box office. Online at SouthPointCasino.com or charged by phone. 702-797-8055. Take a step back into the British invasion of music at the South Point with Herman Servants.
It's the PM Show Weekend Edition on CRN Digital Talk Radio. Michael Horn, Scott St. James, Paul Stern. So, gentlemen, you've been quiet here. You can jump in on questions. I just get enamored with our guest, Don Barrett, the great Don Barrett from LA Radio. And we're kind of getting his story down, and then we're going to open it up for questions. But are you having a good time, Scott St. James?
Oh, yeah. What I like about this a lot is I don't have to do anything. No, but really, my situation. I can make this real simple. My whole career was fooling them. So what can I say?
I didn't fool anybody, Scott. Best in the business. Come on, what are you talking about?
What'd you say,
when
Don?
Scott was on in St. Louis, he invited me on every morning, and that was a great 10 minutes.
What'd you guys do on that? You were at KMOX in St. Louis, Scott.
This was later, but that's all right. Yeah, there was a little thing that I did for a little while, and Don was very nice. And
what was the feature? What'd you guys do?
Well, no, he came on and told us all about stuff that was going on here. Yeah, while I was in St. Louis. But
did he tell you the Rams were coming to Los Angeles?
Well, he's still getting around to it.
I told him that they were going to St. Louis.
Thank you. Old sage, old seer. So Don Barrett, for those of you who've joined us late here, for the last 20-plus years published LAradio.com, a website, a blog that talked about what's going on in LA radio and radio in general. And he hung him up this last week, did his last piece, using the final thing, I'm walking out the door. And as a kid, the first person I heard on the radio was the great Dick Whittinghill at KMPC, who would play that at the end of his show. So you brought some tears to my eyes with that because you were walking out the door, Don Barrett.
Well, it was time, and the whole radio experience, I think, has changed a lot. And if today I would call it an audio experience rather than a radio experience, because we can listen to this content on television with CRN. We've got it here in our Cox system here in Santa Barbara. So we listen to all of your channels.
How are we sounding right now?
Oh, man, it is just great.
Thank you, Don.
The quality is just perfect. Just perfect.
Okay.
And you can listen on your phone. You can listen, on your computer. You can listen. I mean, that's what's great about this audio experience. You're everywhere.
Everything is everywhere these days, and it's great, and we thank you for that. So Don, we got you to Lompoc, California on the 10th of March in 1965. You leave at 9 out of Santa Monica. You're on the air at 3 o'clock in Lompoc. This is a great career you got. How do you get from there and then get in with the great Gordon McClendon? What are your stops along the way?
Well, the next stop was an ad that I answered in Broadcasting, which was a trade publication. And there was a opening in St. Joseph, Missouri. So I quickly got out the almanac. Lompoc was 25,000 population. St. Joseph was 100,000. I said, wow, I can make a jump to, 4 times what I'm doing. And Rich Brother Robin, who has turned out to be one of the great rock and roll voices over the last decades and in any number of markets, including Los Angeles and San Diego, he was the program director, and he hired me, and I went in and did mornings for him in St. Joseph, Missouri. And then I did television. I anchored the evening newscast for about a half a year, I guess. And then there was an ad in the trades again.
What TV station did you work for?
It was the CBS station.
CBS station in St. Joe?
Yeah. It was. They covered the entire northwest of Missouri.
Did you do like Eyewitness News or something like that? Was it like the big news or something? What was the deal? And now Don Barrett.
Well, I had to work 6 nights a week, and you went out and shot the film.
Wow.
You came back, and you processed it through all of this goop and so forth. You then edited it, and then you wrote the story, and then you delivered it. I mean, it was a great experience.
So you were jocking on the air, rock radio at the station in St. Joseph. What were the call letters there? You remember? St. Joseph, Missouri?
KUSN, I believe.
KUSN, very good. And then you were doing TV at the same time then, right? Doing the TV news?
Yeah, I segged over to television and wanted that experience and did that. And then there was an ad in Billboard again. Gordon McClendon was looking for 7 men that he wanted to personally tutor and send off to his 7 FM radio stations. And he had an idea that FM was going to be big and that he could run these stations with 7 people. And so he went out and found 7 guys and blindly, I flew into Dallas, Texas, and spent 30 days on his ranch, and we were tutored on a daily basis with the diversity of the business. And then he sent us all off to one of his 7 stations.
Now, back up a little bit, because this story fascinates me. What year was this that you answered that ad?
This would have been 1967.
All right, so FM radio may be being discovered a little bit here. Gordon McClendon, one of the legends of the radio broadcasting business, decides he's got, and you could only own 7 FM and 7 AM stations, 7 TV stations at the time. So he had the 7 stations that he owned, correct?
Correct.
And so he puts this ad to get people there. Who are you? Who are the original 7 geniuses that did these 7 stations? And obviously, you were in Detroit. What were the other markets?
Well, I went from St. Joseph, Missouri to Dallas to participate in this event on his ranch. He had a 500-acre ranch.
Any of the guys we would know the other names that were there, the 7 guys that he was had the ad for?
No. One of them went to be an executive with Clear Channel in San Antonio, but you wouldn't know his name.
So we wouldn't know. So what do you do on that ranch? He's got you there for 30 days. What is it that I read somewhere that he even learned how to handshake properly?
Well, he believed that how you interacted with sales executives, agency executives, your talent, everybody was in eye contact and how you appeared. And I always thought that was kind of silly. I mean, I didn't know any better. And he brought in Elmer Wheeler for a half-day seminar on how to shake hands and where to put your feet, what angle to have your feet, and then where you put your hand to stick it out and not to grab it too hard nor too soft, and looking somebody straight in the eye. It was just absolutely an incredible experience to learn how to engage with the person that's in front of you.
So this was in Dallas at Gordon McClendon's ranch.
That's correct.
And other than you and some guy that went on to Clear Channel, the rest are legends of history. Who was the guy at Clear Channel? You remember his name? Was that the great Bob Pittman? I just made that up.
No, you wouldn't know any of the names.
I just had to throw that in there. It's iHeartMedia.
So basically the technique was 2 for 7.
The technique was what?
The handshake and all the finish shake was basically you hit gold with 2, but the other 5 kind
of... Well, no, all 7 guys went on. He picked 7 of you to go to the stations.
They went on to unknown, whereas our guest, and of course, and others have gone on to success.
We'll continue the story straight ahead. That's Paul Stern. I'm Michael Horn, Scott St. James, and our guest, Don Barrett from LA Radio.
Need a tractor for tough jobs? Do more for less with a Kubota L-Series compact tractor. Forged from our proven design and highest quality materials, Kubota has been committed to building the industry's best compact tractors for decades. Get financing as low as 0% APR for up to 5 years during our More Power to You sales event. That's value. That's Kubota. Financing available through Kubota Credit Corporation USA. Call toll-free 1-888-465-8268 for details about cost and terms. For more information or to find a participating dealer, visit Kubota.com.
For over 75 years, Geico's kept an eye on the future, keeping customers happy with things like 24/7 customer support and emergency roadside service. And to prove it, here's one of our commercials from over 75 years ago.
At Geico, we promise to always find innovative new ways to serve you. In fact, we're so innovative, in 75 years, they'll listen to this old radio commercial and think, wow, they were innovative.
Wow, we are innovative.
Geico, saving people money for over 75 years.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-351-8614. That's 800-351-8614. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-351-8614.
It's the PM show nationwide, coast to coast, CRN Digital Talk Radio. I'm Michael Horn. Scott St. James is here, Paul Stern. We're getting the story of LA radio legend Don Barrett, radio legend Don Barrett for the past 20 years. He has published and produced LAradio.com, done a fabulous job with that. We might have to have Don back a second time here. There's too much in his life to kind of jam it down here into 1 hour. I'll tell you that right now. And we got Don starting in Lompoc, California, moving on to St. Joe, Missouri, then answering this ad in the newspaper back in around 67 for 7 extraordinary radio people to run Gordon McClendon's FM. Gordon had 7 AMs, and he was going to do something special with the FMs. What was he going to do with the FMs that he was training you guys for?
He had a very successful station in San Francisco, KABL, Cable Music.
Oh, yeah.
And it was the first time that a beautiful music station had come in number 1.
Wow.
And so he was going to take that format and put it on his 6 other FM stations.
Oh. So this was the birth of the beautiful music, was Gordon McClendon doing this. This was one of his many formats. I think he had all ads. We'll get into that in a second. But so you graduate from this 1-month training with 7 other guys, and you guys are known, you said, the Magnificent Seven, a take on the movie of that time, right?
Well, that's what he said in the ad. I'm looking for the Magnificent Seven. So that's how it all started.
So you guys graduate. What station do you go to?
I go to San Francisco to KABL.
Graduated first in your class there, didn't you, Don Barrett? So you're at the big one there, and then the other guys go. Do they last a while, or do they peter out?
Most of them were gone within a few months. Gordon was quite the taskmaster. He's really the only genius I ever worked for in my life. He just was so bright, so brilliant, and I don't care what industry he would have gone into. When he sold all of his radio stations for cash, he bought gold when it was $35 an ounce, and it was at that time that it went up to $800-900 an ounce.
Unbelievable. All right, so the Magnificent Seven graduate, how many get dumped in the first few months?
5 of the 7 were gone.
They go on to form Cumulus Radio. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. And so you, now what happens to you then? You're at Cable, you're doing beautiful music, then what happens?
Well, I'm national program I'm program director of Cable, and he decides he wants somebody to oversee all 7 FM stations. So he brings me to the home office in Dallas to coordinate the 7. And then that evolved into being national program director for the AM stations also, AM and FM.
Whoa. So now you're in charge of the 7 AMs and the 7 FMs.
Correct.
Do you dump a lot of people? Do you go like strut it around, tell everybody they're not doing a good job? Scott St. James on the air say, James, clear out. Did you do that, or what do you do? You're working for Gordon McClendon. He's going to hold you to the upper post here of excellence here. What do you do?
Well, it's a big juggle act. I mean, everybody wants to work for Gordon McClendon. So, there weren't a lot of changes during my regime as national program director. I was probably that for maybe a year and a half. And I wanted to get into sales because I wanted to get into management. And then I came back to Los Angeles and worked for KOST Extra.
So that was KOST and Extra, that's still a McClendon station, right?
They're McClendon stations.
All right, now didn't Chuck Blower, the legendary radio programming genius, didn't he start working for McClendon in a station in Arizona or New Mexico or Texas or somewhere?
He was in El Paso.
Were you his boss at that time?
No, he had, I came a decade later.
So they were looking for a programming genius. They get Don Barrett. That's good. All right. So you're in San Francisco. You're national program director. And do you stay national program director? And then you went to Detroit for a while, didn't you?
After Los Angeles, I went to Detroit to be the general manager there of the first full-time oldies station in W4, WWWW.
Let's put it in reverse for a second. You're in L.A. You start a legendary station. Are you general manager then for KIQQ? Is that when you are in L.A. starting this?
After Detroit, I came back to Los Angeles.
Oh, wait. So the first station in L.A. is, where are you? What's the station?
KIQQ, K100.
And you leave and you go to Detroit and then you come back.
No, I went from Detroit to Los Angeles.
Okay.
I was in Detroit for 3 years with McClendon, and then I went to work for Bartell, which owned a series of stations around the country. ACBQ in San Diego.
Kind of throwing that one to the side. Was Bartell not a great experience? So it didn't sound like you were excited about it.
No, it was great.
Okay, good.
All my experiences are great. I mean, I have been so blessed.
Okay.
That just to be in it. They don't always work out. I mean, Scott can tell you, sometimes they're glorious and sometimes, you get a bump in the road.
Well, I've been lucky. I didn't have too many of those, but I want to. I just want to bring up something for people who have spent a lot of time about writing letters to Don over the last couple of weeks, and there's a good reason for that. There are a lot of people that were just living day by day by day for the last 15 to 20 years with whatever it was that Don was writing about things that were going on at these different stations here in Los Angeles. This stuff was very important to all of these people who were part of these stations, and also more times than not are people who are losing their jobs right and left. And the information that they needed about this, they got from Don Barrett. They got it in spades. Nobody else got it.
Too bad they didn't pay for it. Otherwise, they might still have it. But he did a great job.
Yes,
You're absolutely
he did.
right.
Yes, he did.
I said, Don Barrett told me today off the line here, Don, you mentioned that radio personality Jeff Levy passed away. You were ready to write about it. It's like, hey, you're off the clock now. Am I right?
That's right. He died, unfortunately, 2 days ago. He was the tech freak. He was one of the first to do computers, talking about it for the layman.
Now you're missing the column, aren't you, Paul Stern? See, Paul just had to look at his face.
I do, Jeff.
The legendary Don Barrett is with us here. Final segment coming up. We got a lot to cover, so we better hurry.
Whether you're restoring a classic car, building a hot rod, or just bringing your daily driver back to like-new condition, Steel Rubber Products is your choice for quality automotive rubber parts and weather stripping. As one of the world's award-winning custom car and hot rod builders, Bodie Stroud prefers to work directly with Steel Rubber Products on his award-winning project cars and show vehicles. In addition, Steel Rubber works with top builders like Bodie to confirm the fit and function of its parts, as well as develop new products. So for rubber products that fit like the original, last a lifetime, and look like they should, you can't get a better product anywhere. If your dream ride sounds like this, contact Steel Rubber Products and enjoy a ride that sounds like this. Steel Rubber Products, a difference you can hear and quality you can see. Visit us on the web at www.steelrubber.com or call us at 800-447-0849. And remember, if you want the best, you want Steel Rubber Products.
When you really want Italian food, you've got to go to Columbo's. Columbo's Italian Steakhouse and Jazz Club. Colorado Boulevard, Eagle Rock. It's that little neighborhood place you wish was down the street from you. Can you believe we're halfway through summer? Live a little without spending a lot. That might come as a shock, but good times are meant to be good times. Ooh, and in awe at Columbo's succulent, delicious steaks. The freshest offerings from the 7 Seas. Italian specialties so outstanding that chefs from Rome and Milan come to Columbo's for training. Let's not forget their world-famous meatballs and join the chorus as another one bites the crust. Another one bites the crust. Yes, another one bites, another one bites, another one bites Columbo's world-famous pizza. Plus jazz every night. Columbo's is good time central without breaking the bank. Columbo's, because it really is that little neighborhood place you wish was down the street from you. Columbo's, manja.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names.
Really?
They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
If you're struggling to find reliable senior living information for your mom or dad, then call or go online to get the free help you need during this turbulent time. Call now, 800-471-5173, 800-471-5173.
I hope you find this as interesting as I do and as Scott St. James and as Paul Stern do. We are talking with the legendary Don Barrett, radio personality, programming, management genius who 20 years ago started LARadio.com. He's got time to talk to us now because he retired from that last week, and we're just happy to spend some time with him here. And I've made the executive decision. He's going to come back next Friday because we can't even hope to touch on his career in movie promotion. Can you come back, Don Barrett?
You got it.
All right.
We're more than happy to.
It'll be fun. So let me just straighten this out in my head because we had you in San Francisco working for McClendon at Cable, KABL. You came, your national program director in LA. You get trained when you're in LA the first time. You were telling me off air here now for sales. Was that what you were doing?
Well, I wanted to learn sales because the general managers all came from the sales area, not the programming area. So I wanted to learn sales. Gordon thought that Norm Epstein was the best salesperson he had. So I came out here and sold on the street, just knocked on doors.
The legendary Norm Epstein trained you from KMPC days, KZLA, and before that, what McClendon station was he working for?
KOST and Extra Music, XTRA, 690.
That's good. All right, so then you go from there and you become then, once you learn sales, the general manager at WWWW in Detroit, right?
Right.
4W, is that what you called it, or W4, was that it?
Well, it was W Information, we just played off of the W, all of that.
If it was Howard Stern, he couldn't say WNBC, it'd be WW. You have to put the pause in there. All right, so you're there, and then you come and you start the legendary, come back to L.A., K100, KIQQ. That station showed up hugely popular in the ratings when you first launched it, didn't it?
Well, it was Gordon always said, find the void and fill it. And there was a real void between the music that KMET, the Mighty Met, and the soft stations were playing and rock and roll. So we forged into what would be called AC, or adult contemporary music at that time. And we just, unrestricted, we just had the best time. I got great jocks. Rich Brother Robin came to be the program director, and he found some great people, and it all worked.
And who was your morning man?
Morning man was Mike Butts.
And what's his real name? Who was the guy that is doing sports now or something that was writing about you in your column? That is in charge of LA Sports or whatever. The organization said he worked for you at KIQQ, and I didn't even know that, and I'm forgetting his name now. I should remember, but we'll get it for next week's show. You get the success at KIQQ, and that lasts for what, a few years before is the station sold, or what happens?
2 years and 2 months, and then Bill Drake and Gene Chenault took over the station, and they had their own vision, so we were all out at that time, and they brought back Real Don Steele and Robert W. Morgan to go against their old alma mater, KHJ. And that was the end of my radio career.
And so you, at that time, that's the last gig in radio. What year was that?
74.
74. And then that launches you into a career of motion pictures and motion picture promotion, am I right?
That's right. It's kind of funny how radio and the movie business is the same from the standpoint of marketing, because you can't touch it, you can't feel it. You have to tell a story, and I think that's what radio is all about.
Speaking of stories, I want to clean up a story here about how we met, he and I.
Yeah.
And what Don learned right away was that I'm not a guy that likes to really talk to a lot of people, but what that led to was one of the best friendships I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And from that point on, do you listen to him when he says play the eights? You should, because Don Barrett, that's it.
I'm really glad that I met this guy. I'll tell you.
Listen to what he says. He got good advice. Don Barrett, you're coming back next week. We can't wait for that.
Thanks, guys.
This show's going to run all weekend long. The great Don Barrett from LARadio.com. I'd give you his website, but he shut it down on you. So just if you want to get in touch with him, go to crntalk.com. Thank you, Scott St. James.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Paul Stern.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Tomas, for pressing the buttons. Executive producer Courtney Cadera. Thanks to the great Don Barrett. We'll have him back next week. Lots more to talk about here. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Enjoying all your favorite CRN programming is easier than ever. It's right on your TV, through your local cable provider, and on the web at crntalk.com. But when you're on the move, stop Stuck in a plane, train, or in your car? Catch up on all the shows you missed. Or listen live to your favorites. Download our CRN app from your iPhone, iPad, Android, or BlackBerry. Just search for